Capitec Bank has hit back at Viceroy Research Group, accusing the US-based research company of being driven by profit motives in what the bank calls a one-sided and factually incorrect report. Now let's go back to the beginning of the story. The report from Viceroy yesterday labelled Capitec a loan shark that should be put under curatorship. The bank has also questioned the motive and timing of the report. For more on the story, we're joined in studio by Tanti Pai, who is an economist and also head of research at Nassance Advisory and Research. Good to have you. Welcome again.
Good morning.
This story is a concerning one, even though, Capitec are trying to put out the fires where they can. Let's go back to what Viceroy have actually said about them. Talk to us about the report.
Viceroy is claiming that Capitec is not as good as it seems, especially to investors, saying, look, these guys have achieved all this enormous success. If you look at them, they're probably growing at something like 100% a year over the past 5 years. So they've been doing really, really well. And they're saying, well, part of that is because they've been, doing some very shady lending practices, perhaps in some areas overcharging, that actually their clients can afford to pay them, and that all of these things will come to bear in no time, and that will actually sink the bank, and that actually investors will be caught on the back foot. Yeah. So that's really the crux of their
Obviously, Capitec
report.
Gets wind of this, which is a big accusation and revelation. They start panicking, send out a media report as soon as they see it, saying, we are studying it, we will get back to you shortly. They then have another press conference, basically refuting all of this. So that's what Viceroy said. Tell me what Capitec say.
So Capitec is saying these guys don't understand their business. That actually it's a very, very good business, and they're actually very healthy. And also, went as far as to quote the central bank. Now, the central bank came out earlier to say this is a liquid bank, that they meet all the requirements that are required from the regulator, which is the central bank. Now, the central bank, of course, relies on Capitec, for the most part, to give them information, to tell them, for example, how their loans book is looking like, what are they writing off, and that at certain stages then, the central bank will say perhaps, okay, give us more in terms of reserves because we are worried about your position or not. And we've seen this, of course, with African Bank Limited, when they were also in a supposedly good position until very late in the day, when then suddenly were filing for bankruptcy or being under curatorship. So it is a worrying situation in the sense that whatever it is that perhaps Viceroy is saying is being hidden to the public, which would have been hidden from the regulator as well. Because it's in our system, we work very much on trust, that the central bank trusts, for example, that the risk management people of Capitec are good, honest people that will deliver all information to them, and that they will keep them abreast. And that if that's not the case, of course, then we would be in a very negative situation. And so I think part of the thing now, and I think especially in this environment, is something we've been talking about a lot, that we have got problems, of course, with auditors. We know that there's a lot of issues around management and governance in our country, and part of that is the reason why a lot of people would be worried, because they're saying, look, for the longest time we relied on auditors to tell us the truth, because part of the information that's being fed, of course, the central bank are these audited financial statements. Yeah. And we know we come from an environment that auditors have not been, covered in the most glory. And so a lot of the stuff that's coming through should be concerning in the sense that of the environment in which we are in, and certainly parts of this. But of course, as Capitec defends themselves, they're saying, well, actually for these people, they don't have the right facts, that they don't know what they're talking about, and we know better.
They know better.
I think that the decision for us is to whether or not who we believe.
All right, let's now talk about pretty much so what the Viceroy company, who they are, what they've done, because I know they were involved in as well in the research with Steinhoff, and we saw major irregularities there, and we saw what happened to people's pension funds, and we've seen what's happened to that company, which was one of the biggest issues in South African history. Now there's the murmuring about what's happening at Capitec, but who are Viceroy? Because there are people saying, no, you can't believe them. They're just some guys who are shorting the stock, trying to make some money, and that's what many are saying. But really,
look, I think a lot of people are relying on the fact that Viceroy, of course, benefits from this, and they're actually quite honest about it. They say, look, part of the way we make money is actually through these reports. We see an opportunity in a company that we think is,
and they wait for that share price to drop, which you did, 20%.
Exactly, 20%, and they benefit. But of course, just because they benefit doesn't mean that their information is not credible. And I think one of the interesting things, of course, is that they are probably not interested in being a one-time wonder, right? Because if they are wrong about this, nobody will ever believe them again. Yeah. Is that something that they play at? But certainly they've been very honest. And so And also warning any person who uses that information to say, guys, if you use this information, know that it is to benefit us as well. And so you can make a choice as an investor to say, look, let me listen to this. As you mentioned, of course, with Steinhoff, it turned out that a lot of the stuff they raised had some merit in it, and which is what is being investigated now, and I think it led to more and more investigations. So certainly, they are not without a track record, but a lot of people are not actually quite clear. I mean, their website, it doesn't give a lot of information about who it is, what it is that they do, who do they actually serve in particular, who their clients are. But they've been saying, look, you can check us out. This is the information we've got. You go behind the scenes and you go and find out.
So they just put it out there. Do with it what you like. But I mean, lawsuits could be coming their way. You know, I mean, you take a look at a company like Capitec, 9 million South Africans, and that's where I want to focus in the next question. But, you know, surely there'll be court cases and lawsuits against them, and to come out and publish this information if it was all false, the way that Capitec are making us believe.
Exactly, because I suppose they are putting people through major losses. I mean, 20% is not very small. I mean, that's a fifth of anybody's investment going down the drain. And this is something that, and they put their faces out. I mean, I thought their CEO was out on Bloomberg yesterday talking about these things, explaining them. And so in a sense, it's not as if there are people who are hiding behind anything. They are actually out there in the open talking about their reports and the work that they do. It would be, of course, quite difficult to find ways in which perhaps they could be sued. Are they rich enough to be sued? That's a different thing altogether. So there's a lot of stuff that's still obviously to be uncovered, both on the side of Capitec and of Viceroy. And it's a very, very important story because it touches a number of issues around the information systems that actually we rely on to make decisions, how corporates themselves are quite upfront about what's going on inside, and certainly the people we can or cannot believe around the information that we get. So it's going to be quite interesting to actually watch.
All right, so we're going to take a break, Kanti, if you don't mind. We're going to come back and continue talking about this because I want to turn the attention away from Viceroy and Capitec as two businesses and turn it to South Africans. 9 million South Africans invest with Capitec. What should you do? Should you be worried? Is your money safe? Let's find out what Kanti has to say. And also, if you've got any questions or concerns regarding this issue, please do get hold of us now at Morning Live SABC. We take a break. Stay tuned.